The colour grading process can often be frustrating for beginners or just a scary prospect not knowing where to begin and getting less than desirable results. But with filmconvert nitrate, which I'll go through in this video, you can easily colour grade your footage in minutes whilst also giving your footage the appearance as though it was shot on film, which can give some really stunning results. But there's also one additional setting that you can now easily add to your footage to really enhance the overall authentic vibe of your colour grade if you're going for that true film look, and it does look rather cinematic. So by that film look, it simply means that it's the look that your footage has when you shoot with a film camera, and there's not really a way to get that with a digital camera, so you have to emulate it with presets in a camera if you were to use something like a Fuji camera, or emulate it in the edit with your footage with most other cameras. So filmconvert nitrate makes this incredibly easy to do. To emulate film, all you have to do is drag an instance of filmconvert nitrate onto your footage and select your camera model and the profile that you shot your footage in. In my case, I filmed on the Sony a7S III in S-Log3. There's a full list of what camera profiles are supported on filmconvert's website. Once you've selected your camera, you can then choose your preferred film stock. There's a fair amount that you can choose from, so you can really get that look that you really want. After choosing the film stock, you then can begin to adjust the intensity of the film colour, the vibrance of it, and the intensity of the contrast. The next thing you can adjust is the film grain, and depending on which type of film you choose, the film grain will change and look different. And then just like the intensity of the film emulation, you can dial that into your liking. I tend to set mine around 50%. You might be thinking that the footage still looks a little bit faded and washed out at this point, but all you need to do is add in some saturation. And then you can also adjust the colour wheels to add specific colour tones in the shadows, the highlights and the midtones. It really is that easy. But now there's one additional step that you can take just to further enhance that film look. Halation's an effect that is present in footage shot on a film camera, and it creates a kind of halo effect with a red glow around it in highlights in your scene, and it's particularly visible around lights like street lamps, car headlights, neon signs, that kind of thing. So filmconvert's halation add-on simply enhances that authentic film look that you get when you apply film emulation stock to your footage, and it creates that halo effect in your footage, giving you a true filmic look. It also makes your footage look dreamy without the need for a mist filter. It's also incredibly easy to use. All you have to do is go down to the halation controls, and by default it'll be switched on and the settings will be set for you. But you can completely adjust the look for what you're after. So starting with the first setting, you'll see that there's a view halation alone checkbox, and when you turn that on, you get a view of what in your frame is being affected by halation, which is really handy if you want to isolate the effect and see it on its own. In terms of the sensitivity, this is going to adjust how much of the image is affected by halation based on the parts of the image that are actually bright enough for halation to be applied. So as it is, halation mainly affects the highlights, but as you take it up more, then it starts to also affect the midtones, and then if you go back the other way, it reduces the sensitivity of the highlights. With the strength slider, you can determine how strong the halation effect is. So if you want the effect to be really noticeable and intense, you just slide it more to the right, and then if you want it to be more subtle and less noticeable, you can slide it more to the left. The hue slider allows you to change the colour of the halation, and by default it comes out red, but if you want a different hue, you can adjust that to your preference. It's more noticeable the more intense the halation effect is. When you adjust the softness, this changes how dreamy of a look that you get. So if you slide it more to the right, then halation will spread across more of the frame, whereas if you go more to the left, then it'll constrain itself closer to the edges of what it's affecting, so it doesn't give such a soft look. In the additional settings, you can further control the look of the halation, but one of the main settings that I tend to use is the saturation setting, as I like to desaturate the halation, so instead of having the colour, I get more of a bloom effect so that my highlights look a bit softer, and this is the kind of effect you get with a mist filter. It's definitely worth trying out. You can get a free trial of nitrate and halation, which gives you access to all the controls, just a watermark on your footage until you buy the license. In order to get a license for halation though, you do need to have a license for filmconvert nitrate, as halation is an add-on. As of now, there isn't currently a standalone version of halation. However, you can get 40% discount on halation if adding it as an add-on, and you can also get 40% off filmconvert nitrate if you don't already have it. But even better, if you use the code SamaraG, then you'll get an an additional 10% discount, so you'll get 50% off in total. Just use the link in the description or the coupon code. And if you're still not quite getting the look that you want after you've colour graded your footage and it still looks a little bit rubbish, it might be because you're making one crucial mistake, and I'll show you what that is and how you can fix it in this next video.